Can we talk about something? One of my favorite movies is You've Got Mail. I find it very sweet, very cute, and actually very funny. And the reason it's funny is because there's this situation where two characters are actually enemies, but then they're actually friends at the same time. And it's happening simultaneously where they don't know it's happening, where they're talking to each other through email, but then in reality, they don't like each other because of their two opposing competitive businesses. They both have bookstores. And I love this storyline. I love the storyline because I love bookstores. I'm a book reader and I love going to the bookstore, and I used to work in a library. And I just find the storyline funny. I also like the actors that play in You've Got Mail. Meg Ryan is very understated in this movie, but she's so funny and so casual, and she just has a way about her that I really enjoy her acting. And then, of course, Tom Hanks is great, and they just play well together. The storyline is just classic. You can get into it as soon as you watch the first scene. It pulls you in. So I love that movie. It's so funny. And I just like funny, humorous writing. It kind of just takes you out of the everyday moon day moments of life, and then it just transports you to another place. And whoever wrote You've Got Mail did a great job. So I just had to say that. And if you were to write something funny, what would it be about? I think about the funny things that have happened at school when I was a school nurse. And I've had a couple of maybe some weird, funny experiences that I could probably turn into a story. And of course, keeping all my patients' identities secret, but just turning something in the scenario into a storyline for a funny story. I think anything could be turned into something funny. That's where comedians come in. They always take something that everybody else takes for granted and they could find the humor in it. And if you could take something that everyone else takes for granted and still find humor, that's how you can write humorous, funny things. When you can see the funny and seriousness, that's humor, but also have reverence for the situation. I was watching a little behind the scenes on what flight attendants go through when they go to training, and I had no idea what it was like to be a flight attendant in terms of the behind the scenes training of it. You only see the forward facing of flight attendants, but there's a behind the scenes where they learn how to handle emergency scenarios. And they had a person come and report on what it's like to take the training. And so they had scenarios where she does CPR, where she has to save people from a burning plane or direct traffic out of the plane in an emergency response, or if there's gunshots going off or something crazy on the plane, and what to do so that they're already prepared. It was preparedness training, or getting into a water raft and bringing people on the water raft and all these things. And she made it fun, even though it's a serious situation, but she made it fun and a little lighthearted so that you could still watch it and still get the point, but not feel dreary about it. And so there's ways to make dreary things seem a little bit more lighthearted. If there's something you want to discuss in writing, but you don't know how to write it, you could find the silver lining where there's a little joke somewhere in the sadness of something or the seriousness of something. There's a little joke in there, or maybe a little pun that you could throw in. And there's always a silver lining in everything, and finding humor in everyday moments it's very much a skill that I believe comedians are able to do. That's how they're able to write their jokes and their one-liners and things like that. And the same goes for writing in everyday writing. Maybe if you're writing a memoir and you don't want it to be too serious, you could add humor. You could focus on the humor. You could focus on the little pieces that are lighthearted. And that kind of adds a bit more interest for the reader to want to keep reading if it's more funny. Everyone is attracted to funny things. And the more funny you are, the more they want to hear more of what you have to say, because people like a good joke sometimes. It lightens the mood. It keeps things light and happy. And everybody loves to be happy. So what could you write that's actually funny? If you ever thought of something that's funny about maybe about your job, or funny about what happened in the day, or funny about something you realized about yourself that you didn't realize before. Like, what could you talk about or write about that's funny and humorous? And try it on, just like trying on a jacket. I love shows where they do the little try-ons and they show people changing clothes and trying on different outfits and things that are totally outside their personality. When you try writing humorously, that's like trying on a new outfit, trying on a cowboy hat. Like, you may not have ever worn a cowboy hat, but you could put it on one day and see what it feels like. Or you could put a mustache on and see what that feels like, even if you're a girl. Or wear a tie and you're a girl. You could just change it up and see what it feels like. Being humorous is just getting outside the box, thinking a little different. But even just thinking differently about your job, like what's different about your job, what's unique about your job, what's humorous. Maybe it's about long meetings that just don't do anything for the whole day, or it could be about the coffee machine that never works, or something like that. I think they even found humor in The Office, which is a TV show about just an office. But they found humor in the things that happens in an office. And so that's one way to take something that we all take for granted and just think of as serious and boring and find the humor in it. And I leave that with you. What do you find humorous about the everyday, ordinary, mundane things in your life? What could be funny about it? And how could you write about it? I'm leaving that with you. There's your question. There's your writing prompt.